I want you to picture a scenario, and I think it's one you've probably found yourself in.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
You're standing in a drugstore aisle, or maybe it's, 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
and you're scrolling a beauty website. You're looking for a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Something that'll fix the dryness or the fine lines.
Exactly. Something for that dullness we all get. You pick up a bottle. It promises the world. The packaging is gorgeous.
The marketing copy is very compelling.
It's all about exotic botanical extracts or some proprietary complex that sounds like it was invented by NASA.
Right.
So being the savvy consumer you are, you flip it over to read the ingredients, you scan past the water looking for the magic, and what do you see? Almost always near the top.
Glycerin.
Glycerin or glycerol. Or glycerin, it's always there. And if you're like me, you almost feel a little disappointed.
Yeah, it feels like finding flour in a cake recipe.
Yes!
Yeah.
You know it has to be there, but it's not the exciting part. It feels like...
Yeah, like filler. And that reaction, that dismissal of glycerin as just background noise is probably the single biggest blind spot in modern skincare.
That's a bold claim.
It is. Because if you write glycerin off, you are ignoring what is arguably the most effective, reliable, and biologically interesting molecule in your entire bathroom.
We're talking about a clear, odorless, kind of sticky liquid that costs pennies compared to the trendy stuff.
We are, and today's deep dive is going to flip that perspective completely. We're looking at a comprehensive guide from Era Organics that breaks it all down.
Okay.
And the mission here isn't just to make you respect glycerin, it's to make you realize that while you've been chasing all these expensive trends, glycerin has been doing the heavy lifting all along.
So we're decoding the unsung hero of hydration. I definitely want to get to the big showdown later, glycerin versus hyaluronic acid.
For sure.
But let's start with the basics. What is this stuff, actually?
Right, so let's strip away the brand names. Chemically, glycerin is a sugar alcohol. It's what's known as a triol compound.
Triol. I'm guessing that refers to its structure.
Exactly. It means it has 3 hydroxyl groups. And I know we promised not to turn this into a chemistry lecture, but those 3 groups are everything.
Okay. Why?
Think of them as little magnetic hooks.
Hooks for what?
For water, those hooks make glycerin hygroscopic.
That is a word that came up a lot in the research. Hygroscopic.
It means it actively seeks out and binds to water molecules. It doesn't just, tolerate water. It hunts for it.
So when you put it on your skin...
It acts like a molecular sponge. It draws moisture from the environment, literally pulling water vapor out of the air and locks it into your skin.
Okay, so it's pulling water from the outside in. That makes sense.
It does, but that's only half the story. And this is where it gets really interesting. It doesn't just pull from the air. It also draws water up from the deeper layers of your own skin.
Wait, it moves water around inside you?
It facilitates the movement of water from the dermis, that's the deep, water-rich layer, up to the epidermis, the outer layer you can touch. It's creating a hydration loop.
So it's keeping the surface plump by circulating the moisture you already have.
Precisely. It's an active participant. It's a water manager.
That is such a better image than just it sits there and is wet.
Exactly.
Now, about the source. I've heard people say to avoid it because it's an animal product, but then I see vegetable glycerin everywhere. What's the real story?
It can be both. The process is called hydrolysis. You take a fat or an oil and you break it apart. Historically, that fat was animal tallow.
A byproduct of the meat industry.
Right, and often from soap making. But today, the vast majority of what you'll see, especially in clean beauty, is vegetable glycerin. Same chemical structure, just derived from soy, palm, or coconut oil.
And there's a synthetic version, too.
Yes, from propylene. Your skin can't tell the difference chemically, but, for the consumer, the source definitely matters.
Okay, I want to clear something up. In marketing, hydrating and moisturizing are basically used as synonyms.
All the time.
If I buy a hydrating serum or a moisturizing cream, I expect them to do the same thing. But the Era Organics guide draws a really hard line between them.
It does, and honestly, understanding this is the key to actually fixing your skin. If you don't get the difference, you're just guessing.
So break it down for us. Hydration versus moisturization.
Hydration is strictly about water content. It's about increasing the amount of water inside the skin cells. Think of a grape versus a raisin. The difference is hydration.
Okay, so glycerin is a hydrator.
It's a hydrator. It packs the cells with water.
Then what is moisturizing?
Moisturizing is about oil. It's about the barrier. It's about trapping that water so it doesn't escape. If hydration is pouring water into a bucket, Moisturizing is putting a lid on it.
That's a great analogy, because you can pour water in all day, but if there's a hole or if it's just evaporating.
You aren't actually keeping it full. Exactly. That's why glycerin, the hydrator, works best in synergy with occlusives or emollients.
Moisturizers.
Yes. Things like shea butter, oils, silicones.
Yeah.
The glycerin grabs the water and pulls it in, and then the emollient forms a seal on top to lock it there.
So if you use a product that's only hydration.
You might actually feel drier in an hour. The water just evaporates. You need the seal.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move beyond just, making skin wet. The research highlighted benefits that go way beyond basic dry skin relief. It seems like it actually helps the skin repair itself.
It does. This is where we move from cosmetic to therapeutic. A huge role it plays is supporting the skin barrier, your shield against pollution, UV, bacteria.
It strengthens the shield.
Right. But the anti-aging aspect is what really surprised me.
Yeah. I mean, when I hear anti-aging, I think retinol, vitamin C. I don't think of glycerin.
But think about what aging skin looks like. It loses volume, it thins out. That leads to sagging, fine lines.
Right.
Because glycerin is so good at holding water, it physically plumps the skin. It fills out the spaces between the cells.
So it's like inflating a balloon that's gone a little soft.
Exactly. It reduces the visibility of wrinkles just by adding volume. But long-term, the guide mentions it improves elasticity by supporting collagen and elastin. So it's not just temporary.
There was one other benefit listed that I honestly just did not expect. Wound healing.
This is fascinating, isn't it?
I mean, I put an antibiotic ointment on a cut. Not my face moisturizer.
Well, you might want to check the ingredients on that ointment. But here's the science. For a long time, the wisdom was let a wound breathe. Let it dry out and scab over.
Right, air it out.
We now know that's usually the wrong approach. A moist environment is way better for healing. Glycerin creates a protective, moist barrier.
And what does that moisture actually do for the healing?
It helps new cells migrate. It reduces pain because the nerve endings aren't exposed. And it speeds up tissue regeneration. Plus, glycerin has some antimicrobial properties, so it protects against infection.
So if you've picked at a blemish, which we're not supposed to do, but let's be real.
Everyone does it.
Glycerin is actually helping that recover faster.
Absolutely. It helps minimize scarring and speeds up the process.
Yeah.
That's why it's in so many repair balms.
It also mentioned texture and exfoliation, which seemed counterintuitive. I think of exfoliating as, scrubbing or using an acid. How does a hydrator exfoliate?
It's all about enzymes. Your skin has natural enzymes that are responsible for shedding dead skin cells. But those enzymes need water to function.
So if the skin is dry.
The enzymes go on strike. The dead cells don't shed properly. They clump together. That's what gives you that dry, flaky, dull look.
So by hydrating with glycerin, you're just reactivating the skin's own system.
You're allowing the skin to exfoliate itself naturally. You don't always need to scrub harder. Sometimes you just need to hydrate better.
That is a big deal. Okay, I want to address a specific group who are probably getting nervous right now. The oily skin crew.
I know exactly what they're thinking.
They hear derived from fat and super moisture, and they think, this is going to clog my pores.
We need to bust this myth right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Era Organics guide is explicit. Glycerin is non-comedogenic.
Meaning it won't clog pores.
Zero clog factor. In fact, if you have oily skin, you might need glycerin even more than dry skin types.
How is that possible? That sounds completely backward.
Because a lot of oily skin is actually dehydrated skin. It lacks water, so it panics and overcompensates by pumping out excess oil to protect itself.
So the oil is a defense mechanism against a lack of water.
Precisely. You introduce glycerin, you give the skin the water it's craving, and it can calm down and regulate its oil production. You're balancing the system.
Wow. Fighting oil with hydration, not by stripping it. That's a huge takeaway.
And for sensitive skin, it's a no-brainer. It mimics the skin's own moisturizing factors. The body recognizes it. It soothes inflammation.
Speaking of inflammation, this leads to the heavy hitters. The guide talked about psoriasis and eczema, and there was some pretty dense science there.
This was the most complex part, but it's crucial. We know it soothes the itch, but research indicates it helps modulate inflammation at a cellular level. Specifically, it helps convert it into a lipid called phosphatidylglycerol.
Phosphatidylglycerol, that is a mouthful. What is that?
It's a signaling lipid. In conditions like psoriasis, skin cells are turning over way too fast, which creates those thick, scaly plaques.
Okay.
Phosphatidylglycerol helps regulate that maturation. It basically tells the skin cells to calm down and behave normally.
That's incredible. That's not just moisturizing, that's therapeutic intervention.
It is. That's why it's a primary ingredient in so many prescription eczema creams.
Okay, but we have to have the fight. We have to talk about the current darling of the beauty industry.
The heavyweight champion of marketing, hyaluronic acid.
It is everywhere. You can't escape it. And the claim is always the same. Holds 1,000 times its weight in water.
And that stat is true.
So, honestly, in a head-to-head, how does humble, boring glycerin stack up against the superstar?
This is the showdown. Look, on pure volume of water retention, HA wins. It holds more water.
Okay, so game over.
Not even close. Because in skincare, volume isn't everything. Penetration is everything. And this comes down to physics. Size matters.
How big of a difference are we talking?
Hyaluronic acid is a massive molecule. The source notes it can be up to 20 million Daltons in molecular weight.
20 million.
It's huge. It's often physically too large to squeeze through the skin barrier, so it just sits on top. It forms a nice wet film. It feels great, but it's largely surface level.
And glycerin?
Glycerin is tiny. Its molecular weight is about 92.
92 versus 20 million?
It's like comparing a marble to a semi-truck. Glycerin can slip right through the outer barrier and get deep into the skin layers. So while hyaluronic acid is hydrating the roof, glycerin is down in the basement.
That is a massive twist. So we're paying a premium for HA, which might just be sitting on the surface, while cheap glycerin is actually getting the job done from within.
In many cases, yes. Now, to be fair, there are low molecular weight versions of HA now that penetrate better. But glycerin does it naturally, and it costs a fraction of the price.
So if you had to pick one for deep, lasting hydration.
Glycerin is extremely competitive, and really the best products use both. HA for the surface glow, glycerin for the deep work. But don't let the marketing fool you.
That really changes how I look at the price tag on these serums. But before everyone runs out to buy a gallon of glycerin, we need to talk safety.
Yes.
The Era Organics Guide has a very serious warning in its best practices section.
This is the most critical takeaway. If you remember one thing from this deep dive, remember the damp skin rule.
What happens if you put it on dry skin?
Okay, so glycerin is a water magnet, right? It pulls from the nearest source. If the air is humid, great, it pulls from the air. But what if it's winter, the heat is on, and the air in your house is bone dry?
Desert conditions.
Exactly. If you put high concentration glycerin on dry skin in a dry room, there's no water in the air for it to grab. So where does it get the water?
From your skin?
It pulls it from the deep layers of your skin, drags it to the surface, and lets it evaporate into the dry air.
So it literally dehydrates you from the inside out.
It can effectively act as a desiccant. It can leave your skin tighter and more irritated than before you used it.
That is wild. You could be using a moisturizing product and drying yourself out.
That's why you have to provide the water source. Apply it right after cleansing while your face is still damp, or use a facial mist first. Give the magnet something to hold on to.
That explains so many bad skin days I've had in January. Now, what about using it pure? Can I just buy a jug of 100% glycerin?
Please don't. That is the other big warning. Do not use pure glycerin. It is too strong.
Too much of a good thing.
Way too much. It's such a powerful magnet that it can actually cause blistering by pulling water so aggressively from your tissue that it damages the cells and needs to be diluted.
So stick to formulated products where the chemists have done the math.
Exactly. This warning is for the DIY crowd.
Got it. Dilute it and use it on damp skin. Okay, so just to wrap up how versatile this is, it's not just in face cream.
No, it's everywhere. They mention glycolic acid peels, which is smart. The acid exfoliates, which can be drying, so you add glycerin to buffer that irritation and hydrate at the same time.
A safety net. I also saw tea tree shampoo.
The scalp is skin, too. It's fantastic for a dry, itchy scalp or dandruff. It soothes the irritation and hydrates the hair shaft itself.
It really is the Swiss Army knife of ingredients.
And it's generally safe for everyone. Allergic reactions are really rare.
So let's look at the big picture. We have an ingredient that penetrates deeper than the expensive stuff. It heals wounds, it fights psoriasis, and it's dirt cheap. Why isn't this on a billboard?
Because it's not new. The beauty industry is built on novelty. They need to sell you the miracle orchid from the Amazon because they can patent it and build a story around it. Glycerin is just boringly reliable.
It's the concrete foundation of the skincare world.
That's a perfect way to put it. You don't brag about the concrete, but without it, the house falls down. Without glycerin, a lot of those fancy creams just wouldn't work.
So the lesson for us as consumers is what?
It means we can relax a little about the hype. Sometimes just checking the top 3 ingredients for glycerin tells you more about how hydrating a product will actually be than the price tag does.
And make sure you put it on damp skin.
I feel like I should get a tattoo that says that, yes.
I feel like I need to go apologize to the generic lotion in my bathroom. I've been ignoring it for the fancy
You've
serums.
just been doing the heavy lifting this whole time.
It really has. Well, that brings us to the end of our dive. We've gone from filler to hydration engine and hopefully saved you some money along the way.
And maybe convinced you to stop chasing every trend and just trust the chemistry.
Absolutely. Now, before we let you go, here's something to think about. Next time you see a miracle product advertising some breakthrough ingredient, turn the bottle over. Check the first 3 ingredients. If glycerin is number 2 or 3, ask yourself, is the miracle really the exotic flower, or is it just the glycerin doing what it's done for 100 years, while the expensive ingredient takes all the credit?
It's the beauty industry's best-kept secret, hidden in plain sight.
Listeners, go check your bathroom cabinet, see if you can spot the trial compound doing its job. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Stay curious.
See you next time.